South African social media influencers are now firmly in the spotlight, not for their latest trends or viral posts, but for their tax records. The South African Revenue Service has issued a stern warning to content creators and online personalities, urging them to declare all income earned through digital platforms. Now, this comes as SARS intensifies efforts to recover more than 500 billion rand in unpaid taxes using cutting-edge artificial intelligence and data analytics to track undeclared earnings. To unpack this further, let's now welcome Keitumetse Sesana from the South African Institute of Taxation. Keitumetse, a very good afternoon to you. A fascinating conversation. So SARS is intensifying its efforts to recover more than 500 billion rand, they say, in unpaid taxes. And it's now going after, social influencers, social media influencers. Why is SARS now looking at these content creators, and how will it track, you think, the digital money?
Thank you very much. I look forward to unpacking this with you, Unati. So SARS obviously does have that revenue collection drive that they need to, and the target that they need to reach this year. You'd appreciate that 2.006 trillion is quite a high target. So of course, they're going to try and look at every single avenue to collect revenue. This should not be a surprise to anybody because all income that is earned should rightfully be collected by SARS. So I must make that very clear from the beginning that whether you're a salaried employee like yourself or myself working for an institution that withholds and pays tax on your behalf through PAYE, social media influencers, digital content creators are not exempt from this type of taxation. If I take it just a step back, just for everyone to understand that in the early 2000s, South Africa moved to a residency basis of taxation. That means that by mere virtue of the fact that you are a South African tax resident, every rand and cent that you make as a South African tax resident, whether here in South Africa or internationally, so in the tax world, we coin it as worldwide income, is subject to taxation here in South Africa. It forms part of your gross income per Section 1 of the Income Tax Act. And of course, there's certain exemptions, and it filters down to your taxable income that you need to assess and then pay over to the Revenue Service. So this is not actually a surprise. Can SARS see your money? Yes, SARS can see your money. I liked your introduction there where you said they're using cutting-edge AI data analytics. This shouldn't also surprise us because they've been employing these types of services since as far back as 2012. You would know that when you submit your income tax return, there's information that you receive from your bank, your IT3Ts. With respect to your interest, you receive certificates from your retirement annuity funds as well. All that information SARS has already tapped into as far back as 2012. So they can definitely see the income that is not declared. They actually coined this as revenue augmentation. So Keitumetse, the content creator who receives a couple of hundreds here or there and think that it's invisible, it really isn't. SARS can see it.
All right, so I think you've touched on, what SARS legally classifies then as taxable income, because most of the time people believe that, that side hustle money doesn't have to be declared.
No, it has to be declared because it falls part, if you go back to that definition again, Section 1 saying it's all cash and kind received or accrued in favor of a tax resident. So that includes the salaried money as well as your side hustle money. There are certain ways in which you can ring fence your loss. So SARS obviously wants to collect the right amount of tax. As the South African Institute of Taxation, we also advocate for them collecting the right amount, not a cent more. Yeah. There's legislative provisions that help you to ring fence if you've got a loss in your side hustle, Section 20 Cap A2. So you can ring fence if you've got certain losses, but you must declare it. Side hustle money doesn't just fall off the radar and, SARS doesn't see it. They do see it. And as taxpayers, we are mandated to include that money and declare it. It might be a bit difficult for content creators because we know that with normal salaried employees, if you cross the threshold of 98,750 and you're below 65 and all the other thresholds, then you are qualified or you classified as having to pay taxes over, right? That's great. But if you're a content creator, there's some miseducation that, this money, I'm my own boss. I don't have an employer. No one is withholding the money. I have to do it myself. You still are required to register with SARS as a provisional taxpayer. You then have to estimate that this is how much money I'm going to get from my brand contents or from my deals for the year. And you pay the tax over in Feb and in August. You estimate it. Maybe top it up the next year. And if you've paid SARS more, they'll give you your money. If you've paid less, then you need to pay the money in. So
we're running out of time, and I want to squeeze a lot of questions in very, very quickly. So you've spoken about cash, but what about products, travel, or, sometimes you see content creators being sponsored. Must that income also be declared, you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. So it's cash and in kind.
And
so
if they haven't been declaring up until now, what risks then are they facing? Will there be, even a criminal charge? Can they go back and have this conversation with SARS? How would it work?
Would welcome them to do so. So SARS does have a voluntary disclosure program unit in the organization. If you feel that you've defaulted, you should have declared money and you haven't done so, you need to approach them. They have Chinese walls, so you can come and say, listen, I was supposed to pay you, I didn't pay you, let's regularize, and they will definitely accommodate you.
And so just going back to, the other forms of payment that you've mentioned, how would then SARS be able to quantify that?
It's the value. So you, for example, are premiering a stay at an Airbnb, right? That is 350 Rand a night, and you were there for 2 nights. That's the value of the stay. That has to be declared. The value of a gift, you received a fragrance that you are promoting, and that is 100 Rand. That's the value of the gift. So it's all Rand and cents, and you need to declare it in your income. SARS can definitely see it.
And now, from a solutions perspective, are there legitimate deductions influencers can claim? You mentioned that if you've been overpaying, SARS would then, pay you back. But in terms of just equipment, data that they are using, costs, they also traveling with their costs. Will that also be reduced from their end, as a cost burden?
Correct. So as in any other taxable income calculation, you've mentioned it correctly. There's legitimate expenses that you can claim and deductions, wear and tear on your camera, on your equipment that you use to film your digital content, your traveling that you incur. There's legitimate deductions that you can utilize per the Income Tax Act. If you're not aware of those, please do contact a registered tax advisor who will then give you that information as to what you can and the quantum that you can claim.
So basically advising everybody to approach SARS now before it's too late. But thank you so much, Keitumetse, for that. I really do appreciate your time on this and unpacking all of this for us, including the consequences. Keitumetse Sesana from the South African Institute of Taxation.